What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we do always start the show by being transparent. Yesterday, there were some things that I liked. Honestly, I think I did not get to the window with anything because I was still so frustrated and upset and angry and just all of those negative things about how bad the Liberty game went the night before that my mind wasn't right to put my money down. Um, so I didn't actually get to the window, but probably should have on a couple of things. Vino, did you get to the window with anything? And how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Skee. I did something I never do, and that's bet side and total in the same game. I just don't. I know a lot of guys have success with it. A lot of guys believe in it. I don't. I like to have one or the other. But last night, sure than heck, I talked myself into betting the Chicago Sky plus the points and the game under. Talked about both of those here. Game did stay under
Yeah.
166 and a half. Golden State shut Chicago down second half. But boy, the Sky outscored 74 to 45 last three quarters. And I'm watching that game, Ski, and I'm thinking to myself, I probably give Chicago too much credit because when all said and done, that's a team made up of a lot of backups that are starters. You know what I mean? Like if they had Rakia, Azare, Cardoso, Skylar Diggins, and Sydney, that's a starting unit. When you have to start throwing Cloud and Carrington and all these, good role players in there, it just doesn't. And Golden State's such a good team, a unit playing basketball. So I did get that split. Happy the game stayed under. Got a little close at the end, but stayed under. But like I say, when it gets something that I generally don't do as a better, and wound up not getting just getting a split out of it.
Yeah. We kind of mentioned we weren't talking about this specifically, but just in general, I don't like to be told what to do, Tony. I know you're kind of asking the question, but I just don't. I really don't. Um, sometimes we show up on time, sometimes we show up around this time. It's just how this show kind of goes. So yeah, we try sometimes. But I don't know what else to say, Tony. I think I made how I feel pretty clear. All right, Vino. First game up, Atlanta and Connecticut. Yeah, I gotta leave it alone. Let me leave it alone. Atlanta and Connecticut. Opened up minus 9.5. Looks like 10. Call it 10. 173.5 was the opener. Not much movement there. Pow Pow out. Navarre out. Griner game time decision for this Connecticut team. This is my bad. I should have already had this pulled up. But I know Connecticut, I think they had like 5 days off before this game. In the Dream, they are well rested. They had a couple of days off, but still at a rest disadvantage. We just talked about this Dream team and this kind of a number the other day, right? And they're not good laying double digits. Um, and really, it's just like all season long, I feel like the Dream have been inconsistent. And that's probably why they're a very poor point spread team. The Sun, when they've been healthy this season, they've been competitive for the most part. When they played at home, they've been competitive. I see pretty healthy. I see at home. I know Griner's game time, but she played last game. She has 5 days off before this game. I'd assume she plays. I couldn't lay with the Dream. Rob Veno, what do you think?
Yeah, and I think Connecticut to me is two different teams, Ski. We talked a lot this second half post All Star break. Maybe it even started before the All Star break when they were on a pretty good point spread run. When they kind of went to that lineup, that starting lineup with Nelson Adota and Griner in together, they were really good. You start mixing in Edwards, and it's a nice front line. They were having a lot of success with it. Then injuries happened, and that trio kind of got broken up. Man, that would have been a bad word to use right there. But trio um, got broken up, and Connecticut's results started going a little bit differently. And then Griner, like you say, came back last game, and they played pretty well. So to me, if Brittany Griner is to play here, and to me, I wouldn't know why she doesn't play in this game. Like you said, came back and now has had 5 days off. I think that front line is really formidable, can give Angel Reese a little bit of trouble because Angel Reese, for the most part, I mean, Bree Jones comes off the bench and is some support at the rim, rebounding, defensively, etc. But Connecticut's got all those players to match up. It comes down to the guards and the shooting. Connecticut's a crooked shooting team. They don't necessarily make a lot of threes. They don't, and Atlanta can make threes. But we said it the other day, Skee, and I know we took some slack from the chat. Atlanta, they're the worst field goal percentage team in the league. They give it up 48%, and they're the second worst 3-point percentage defense in the league. So, to the Dream fans who say our defense is pretty good, I think you put it best the other day. They can be good individually. They got players that could play defense, but for whatever reason, they haven't played it this year. Seems like a lot of points to me for Connecticut at home. Dream bully team, as I've said before, when they're in this role, they like to score. I just don't know. When Connecticut's right and they have that three player front court that I spoke of, they kind of limit your possessions in games. And Layla's not one to turn it over a bunch. The Dream love fast break points. If you hang on to the basketball and you get some boards and whatnot, I don't know that I could touch the over here either, Skee. So for me, it would probably be the dog plus the best number you can get is 10. And I would say the reason why this number has climbed a little bit from 9.5 to 10 is because people are just, they see Griner on the injury report and run a bet Atlanta. But I don't know that that's the right way for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I'm looking here at this last time they played. We have a couple comments there. I mean, they played one time this season in the first 7 games of the season, weren't fully healthy, and they lost by double digits. I mean, is that the end? This guy right here says, what do you say? Where'd it go? The Sun have not covered against the Dream in 4 straight meetings. They've played one time this year. It was the very beginning of the season. So why do we care about what they did the last 3 times before? Was this team the same? It's a lot of starters on this team that weren't there last year. I don't think we need to look at 4 straight meetings for this kind of a matchup. There was one more. King Lion Crown says, where does Connecticut rank on defense? I don't think Connecticut is capable of stopping a car in a parking lot. Let's look. Connecticut is ranked 6th. They're not terrible. They can defend. Like I said, when Connecticut has been healthy, when Connecticut has played at home, they've looked good. They've looked a lot better. When they have not been healthy, when they've not been at home, they've looked pathetic. So take that for what it's worth. Banking Man says smash the like button. Definitely helps out the show. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys tapping in. We'll go to the next game. Sparks and Liberty opened up -7.5. Looks like 8.5. Total open 184.5. I see it as high as 187.5 out there. Makani out for Los Angeles. For New York, Fibich and Stavely continue to be out. Fibich, we know how big of a deal she's made. The Liberty defense is ass. There's no way to sugarcoat it. They are terrible, especially without her on the court. Statu, man, I haven't spoken about it because I didn't even realize it. I just had to think about it yesterday. It's sad. It sucks. It's sad for Satu right now. I remember last year, was it the finals or the series before the finals? I can't remember which one it was. I know it was in the playoffs, but she got a concussion. They put her back in too early. They were dragging her off like a rag doll off the court. Look at her now. I mean, first her designation for injury was concussion, but you can only have concussion for so long. Now they're listening to his head, not with the team. We know how much concussions can mess up people. I think we're probably going to see something about that in the league, and it sucks for Savely. I just wanted to mention we'll probably see, some legal action versus the Mercury. But anyway, this game, Liberty, they found ways to win some games. They won 8 of their last 10 games. They haven't necessarily been covering. I mean, this team can score, but they can't get a stop to save their life. How can we expect them to win by close to double digits if they can't get stops? Sparks or nothing. What do you think, Veno?
I think a couple of things. I'm going to backtrack first, really quick, to that Atlanta Connecticut game. For those of you who want to hear positives for Atlanta, the motivational angle is on your side. They're sitting a half game behind Indiana in the 5 spot. Got to get to 4. So Atlanta's got the motivation, and Connecticut could be tanking. They're only one game out of the bottom. Who knows? But to the other guy's point who said Connecticut couldn't stop anybody in a parking garage, I think it's why you can't look at overall statistics, guys. I think I tried to point out here that when they made the lineup switch to Griner and Nelson Adota, the defense took off. And like Skee said, they're ranked a lot high. In the beginning of the year, yes, they were 15th, but it's not that way anymore. When those three play together, it's a different defense. So I think we're just trying to talk about the players who are on the floor, not the players who used to be on the floor when they played in prior games. Here's Skee. I would say for Satu, yeah, I think I mentioned it last week, 13 games in a row. That's a hell of a concussion. And now it's up to 16, I think. And it's more than a concussion. And I don't know if we'll see her again this year by the looks of things, but we'll find out. Phoebich, I think there is a return date on her. Listen, New York needs something because it's like beating the same drum every time we talk about this team. Got onto it early. Have to admit, we've made some bucks playing these Liberty games, mostly totals toward the over, simply because they still score. I've mentioned it a few times. I think they're averaging like 92 plus without Sabali and Phoebich, so they have no problem scoring. But if you like pace and you play with pace naturally, they can't stop you. They're too slow. Indiana ran them right off the floor the other night. The Sparks are a quicker team. I would expect a little bit of a bounce back here, Skee. When you check the box score from the other night, Ariel Atkins and Erica Wheeler were horrendous from the field. I know I had to watch it and suffer with it. I had them against Phoenix, and they couldn't make a shot. But they're better than that. And I would think against this defense, maybe they do make some shots tonight. Does that make me trust the Sparks? Because their defense, if you wanted to say a defense couldn't stop somebody in a parking garage, I put the Sparks in front of it before I put Connecticut, because the Sparks are a bad defense. So New York's going to score. LA's going to score. I can understand dog plays here because you don't want to lay with New York. They just can't stop anybody. I'm just more inclined to play over. I think folks have pushed this from 84.5 to 86.5. These numbers are so high, though. They get me to play with caution almost, Skee. You know, it's like I want to just jump on over in this game. But then I look at 86.5 and say to myself, well, you really need like a, 97, 89 game just to be at the number. So you need 97, 90. But I think you can get it here with these two teams. I think if Wheeler and Atkins play better than they did the other night, I don't think you'll have a problem here getting over the total.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Definitely can agree with that. All right, last game. Mystics and Aces. Opened up 7.5, down to 6. Total open 169.5. Looks like 170.5. Nobody on the injury report for Washington. For Las Vegas, Cheyenne Parker Tyus, Dana Evans, Kirsten Bell, all out. No, I forgot to say her name. I know it's a 3-point shooter, the big Pisat. I forgot. Justine Pisat. I forget. I know who she is, how she plays. I'm always watching the game without sound. She's game time decision tonight. So they just played the other day after Becky gave her starters some rest. She said that she didn't want to put that game in jeopardy, and they went out there and got the win by 10. Now they play again in a short period of time. Will Washington be able to adjust? In that last game, I mean, we know Becky's a good coach. She had front in the pose, doubling maybe, just, not going to let them just kill you in the paint. And I think they were doubling or just the ball screens for Sonya. They were trying to get her off the ball. So they had a good game plan for the Aces. It'd be interesting to see how Washington can adjust. They're just still not a good shooting team. So if a team comes in with a game plan of we're not letting you dominate the paint, you're gonna have to beat us with jumpers, I don't necessarily want my money on Washington. And I think that Aces are well enough coached and have good enough personnel to play that way. So it's hard for me to look at Washington. I know they've been hot. A lot of that run was at home, but I think the Aces can get it done again. What do you think here, Vino?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I don't like the fact that they're so short-handed. And they really
Right.
can't go to the bench for much right now. Jewel Lloyd, who has been, I don't want to get into negative terms with that, but since she's been to Las Vegas, it's been kind of a bust pickup. Turner, And I'll say one more key, Skee, to the other night was the fact that Las Vegas kept Washington off the free throw line. Well,
Yeah,
Washington, we know, loves to shoot, maybe get to the line. They don't make a lot of, they're not a high free throw percentage shooting team, but they're a high volume team. They'll get there 25, 30 times. Didn't they? They only got there 18 times. And I think, as you mentioned, with Becky coaching them, probably a lot of that game plan is let's keep these guys off the line because that's where they make a lot of their points. I think Lainey Hamilton, it was her first game for
right.
Washington. We'll see how she fits here. Maybe another better shooter for them to help out. I like your point about maybe game plan by Washington to try and adjust here. Las Vegas is still in search of that 2 seed. And again, I'll say it. I know Becky said, I don't care what seed we are going in after you had the schedule loss, but they are a game and a half behind Golden State now for that number 2 slot. I pretty much think Las Vegas would prefer to have that 2 rather than the 3. So I think there's motivation there. In all, I think they're better than Washington. I just don't like the fact that they're so shorthanded here. God forbid Jackie Young has an off night. It's hard. Asia's always going to be there. And Chelsea Gray goes in and out. But Jackie Young has to be there as well consistently here tonight for them. I tried over in this game the other night. It got to 162. The game was totaled exactly the same as it is tonight, 170 and a half. I thought about coming back with that play, Skee, but I talked myself out of it. So really not a lot for me on this particular game. We'll see how it goes, but I can't even find a good way to counterpunch.
I agree with you that I don't like Aces being shorthanded. Maybe it's a reason to take a first quarter or something like that.
Mm.
Definitely a good point there. All right. We got through these 3 games for today, Vino. It's about that time to wrap it up. So let's see what we can do here. We do have the usual 2 for 1, Vino and Skee, 3-day all access, only $69. Good way to check both of us out. If you only want to rock with one of us, you can always do the buy 3, get 3 free, 6 days for just $69. Few different ways to get involved there. I'm going to pass it back to you, Vino. If there's anything else you would like to promote, feel free. And, if you have a best bet for the show, people would love to hear it.
Yeah, real quick. Tonight's the first week of NFL preseason. I do have one play up. Generally, I'm very picky about what I play in the preseason, but the last 3 years have produced 57% winners and plus 16 units. So the preseason, it was good last year, 6-3. Probably won't get a lot, but you'll get probably 3 each week. And tonight we do have one up and available. So if you're in the buy 3, get 3 days free. You'll get football, also CFL action in as well. I'm going to go ahead and pass on best bets today, Skee. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it under half a best bet or not, because I don't know where you're going with it. But just don't like any of these 3 enough to get in there. I think the strongest lean I have, I'm going to do it this way for people who really want a little something out of it. Strongest lean I have is Connecticut plus the points. I just think that that's a little too much to ask of Atlanta here, especially if Connecticut's healthy. But I want to be sure that Brittany Griner's in the game before I would come from my own pocket to make that bet. So I can leave you guys with that much, but no real best bet for the show.
And I will say that I agree with Rob. That's what I would do for the show. And I do think Griner plays. And last thing I'll say is Connecticut, they will not be there next season. That's a very big women's basketball town. They show up. The players feel the energy. If you watch these games, you know Connecticut's playing hard at home. So good stuff there. I am going to throw this up there just because I feel like it's a great deal. I'm going to throw it up there until it's gone. But if you want to get the NBA early bird, you get the rest of WNBA free with me. You see I was up over 100 units in NBA last year. Most of the work in the playoffs, WNBA doing solid work this year as well. So a lot of different stuff to get involved with. Always appreciate you taking the time to cap these games with me. Helps my process. And I know you help the chat out quite a bit, especially the ones who don't have those listening skills up to par. I know you do most of the work helping those guys out. Chat, we appreciate you all as well. We do have one more show to end the week. There will be 2 games tomorrow. So best of luck on all your action tonight, and we will catch you all then.